Hey there, so are you thinking about making a move out of California and relocating here to the state of Utah? Well, you are not alone. I have known so many people that have done exactly the same thing. I myself have done the exact same thing. So today we are going to chat about some of the biggest differences that you can expect if you are thinking about making a move or relocating here to the state of Utah, and we're going to hop into it right now. Mariah Koehle here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. I'm a licensed and active real estate agent here in the state of Utah, and this channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living here in Utah. If that's of interest to you, consider subscribing down below. Make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you're notified every single week we drop a new video. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move, who are looking to relocate, buy, sell, or even build a property here in Utah, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. My team and I would love to connect with you. Also, if you do want a copy of our free Moving to Utah guide, simply comment down below the word guide, G-U-I-D-E, and we would absolutely love to send that over to you. So I get this question all the time from viewers, from friends, from even family, of people saying like, so why did you make the move from California to Utah? What are some of the biggest differences that you know? What are some of the biggest differences that you've seen? And share them with us. So we're gonna hop right into it. Number one is simply, we're gonna start right from the beginning of affordability. Affordability from California to Utah, there are so many different things that go underneath this that we're going to end up talking about. But number one, let's just talk about housing affordability. Housing affordability, California and Utah, it almost isn't even in the same stratosphere, it feels like sometimes, in terms of taxes for your, property taxes for your home. Again, if you purchased a home in California years and years and years and years ago, then you're in good standing. However, if you were purchasing a home in California today and a home in Utah today, those taxes are going to look very different. That affordability is going to look very different. I was actually just recently talking with a client who was like, Mariah, my husband and I, we recently got married, and in Southern California, they can buy a townhome for $800,000. They were like, what can $800,000 get me in Utah? And I'm like, well, do you want a single family home? Do you want a yard? Do you want acreage? And again, it depends on where you are in Utah. It depends on the area, the neighborhood, all of that. But for the most part, if you are looking at spending that, you can have your choice of many, many different things. So housing affordability, number one, is a huge one. Number two, taxes. I briefly chatted about that. Here in Utah, we are a flat tax state, which means that it is, you are taxed at 4.55% at that state income tax level. If you are purchasing a property and it is your primary residence, it is 0.5% of that assessed value. If it is a secondary residence, it is going to be 1% of that assessed value. So that gives you an idea in terms of property taxes. I know it depends again where you're at in California, but many of the communities do have what are called like Melloroos, which are an additional tax for the roads and parks and all of that. Many communities, people are paying on those Melloroos for 20 years, 30 years. Here in Utah, we're not seeing much of that. Yes, there are many communities that have HOA here, but also same thing in California. Another big difference is simply the traffic and congestion. St. George, Salt Lake City, in between, traffic has gotten worse over the years, but compared to LA traffic, compared to San Diego traffic, compared to Bay Area traffic, the traffic literally, it does not even compare. And it's funny because sometimes people will be like, oh, the traffic here is so terrible. And I I remember living in California. Grew up in the Bay Area and then spent 15 years down in the San Diego area. And for me, for work at the time, I was an elementary teacher. And to get from where we were in Southern California, I was in Oceanside at the time, and my teaching position was out in Temecula. If I was lucky, door to door was about an hour with no traffic, and that was very typical. Many people in California are making long commutes. I did that commute for over 10 years. Over 10 years, I still can't believe it. But with that being said, if there was any traffic, my commute could easily be an hour and 15 minutes each way, an hour and 20 minutes each way. So the traffic, the commute, very, very different. Again, traffic here in Utah has considerably gone up. Let's talk about the pace of life too. Pace of life in California typically tends, again, it depends on where you're at, but it typically tends to be a lot faster pace of life as opposed to here in Utah. It tends to be slower. Again, depends on where you're at, but here in Utah, it tends to be a little bit slower pace of life. Also, in terms of, and I've had so many clients, and I actually recognized this when we moved here too, they just said it feels safer. It feels more family friendly. It just has a different feeling. Again, California is a giant state and Utah's a big state too. So there are a lot of different areas and stuff and lots of different pockets, but overall, crime and comfortability and pace of life and all of that, the trash. I know so many people have been like, you rarely see a lot of trash and garbage and graffiti here in Utah, which for many, myself, feels so refreshing to just go out and have it feel clean. Same thing with the parks. I can't tell you how many people and families that I've talked to that are like, Mariah, I can take my kids to the park and I actually feel safe being at the park. And it feels like, where the kids should be able to play, and the restrooms are clean here in Utah, and there's toilet paper and there's, hand sanitizer, or there's soap in there. Like, it just has a much cleaner feel, and just the safety tends to be a lot different too. So those are some really big differences as well. Moving right along to the political climate. The political climate here in Utah tends to be much, much more conservative than California. That tends to be more liberal. Again, I don't usually like to talk about politics and religion, especially in these kind of videos, but just the feeling here in Utah is more conservative, whereas California, you are going to have a more liberal political climate as well. So one might be more of what you're looking for or not, but just know that going into as well. In terms of schools here in Utah, there are so many different schools to choose from. If you are looking at the college level, the collegiate level, high school, intermediate, elementary. Also here, there are different private schools that are considered much more affordable than I know a lot of the private schools in California, where you're paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 plus a year to send your kids to private school. Again, that's not everywhere, but a lot of the schools that we knew, that's what you were typically paying. Here in Utah, a lot of those private schools, if you're looking at elementary, middle, high school, tend to be more of $7,000 to $15,000 or $20,000. So again, that affordability piece tends to be quite a bit different too. Like I said, if we're looking at taxes here, if it is state income tax, 4.55%, property taxes are 0.5% of the assessed value if it's your primary residence. So that is a big difference for many people too. Something that's very different about California and Utah is simply the climate. And, depending on where you're at in California, there tends to be more humidity. There's more moisture in the air. Here in Utah, it is more of that desert sort of state. And so it's typically quite a bit more dry. And so I know some people will go to California and like, oh, my skin finally feels better, or I can breathe again because it doesn't feel so dry. So that is definitely a difference in the weather, in the climate, depending on whether you're in Salt Lake City or you're in St. George, Utah. Those climates are going to be very different too. You've got world-class skiing in Salt Lake City, Park City area. St. George, you've got golf courses galore. You've got more of that desert climate. Both places, though, very active, very lots of outdoor activities in both areas. So again, hopefully this gives you an idea if you are thinking about possibly making a move from California to Utah. These are some different things to consider: the weather, the taxes, the housing, the affordability, schools, outdoor climates, and whatnot. So if you're thinking about making a move, relocating, buying, selling, or building a property here in Utah, my team and I help people like you all the time, and we absolutely love it. So feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and it'd be our absolute pleasure to connect with you. Wishing you a fantastic rest of your day and week. And if you do want a copy of our free Moving to Utah guide, simply comment down below, guide, and we'd love to send that over to you. Take care and have a great one. Bye.